If you don't think that's possible, then something had to happen in between. I don't understand how everybody gets so caught up in the minutia. Because you can debate that stuff forever. We can go back before MIT, and you can start fighting whether or not and where I lived in high school. That is not going to translate into answering the questions and the things that I've brought into the public eye. That's the important stuff. It almost seems like this is an intentional distraction. You need to pay attention to the bigger picture. If you really want to research all the other stuff, fine, go ahead and do it. But you really need to pay attention to what I'm saying. Because I have better things to do than come up with this. I'm not interested in doing this. I don't like being in the public eye. I don't got money for doing this. And quite frankly, I could make up a better lie, but I have no motivation to lie. This hasn't helped me out.
What does that mean for Lazar's story that we can't prove his schooling? In fact,
it was a problem. I mean, I wondered, can we go forward if we can't verify what was going on in his background?
What up, Adrian?
The point for me was, if he worked at Los Alamos, that suggests he had to have an education somewhere. I think he said it to me a couple of times. What do you think? They hired me right out of high school. I looked at people who knew him back then. Jim Taliani, for one, who said that, yeah, Bob went to Caltech back then. I dropped him off. I interviewed another person who also knew Bob then and said that he would drop him off at Caltech, would pick him up from the library, that if he wasn't going to school there, he sure was making a good show of it back then. Would it prove his story about working on flying saucers if he could show he had degrees from Caltech and MIT? No, of course not. It would not prove that he worked on flying saucers. It would just prove that he went to school. The people who despise him and who doubt the story the most, the debunkers, would find something else to bitch about. Bob got into some trouble after he became a worldwide UFO celebrity. He did a typical Bob sort of a thing and got mixed up with some hookers. He was helping them set up a little mini brothel in a neighborhood. And when he told me about it, I thought, oh my gosh, my professional life is flashing before my eyes here. The most high-profile witness and the biggest story I've ever done is now telling me he's involved in this criminal enterprise. And he kind of thought it was funny. But it wasn't funny to me, so I said, you got to stop this stuff. You got to shut this down. I called the cops. I let some people know, look, he made a mistake. Things are being shut down. They raided the place, arrested Bob. And in those days, there weren't many people who were ever prosecuted and arrested for pandering. Lazar was. So, parole and probation. They're doing a background investigation, and they're going to make a recommendation to the court what the sentence should be for his crimes. He tells them the same story, where he went to school.
I got supplies.
MIT, Caltech, all that. And they investigated. They were having the same problems that I was having. They couldn't verify a lot of this stuff. If Bob
What up, Adrian?
truly was a UFO con man, that was the time to come clean. Because parole and probation was ticked off. They thought he was misleading them. And
What up,
as a result
Darcy?
of that, they did recommend that he do hard time, go to prison. He knew it. That was the time for him to come clean. Because it was a...
What up, Sky?
He stuck to his story. The same story that he told me. That went a long way for me in showing that he had been telling the truth. Because it was definitely in his own self-interest. And that's not what he did. He stuck to his guns. Here's the thing. Okay, I can see Bob Lazar pranks the UFO world and the UFO community. I can see him doing it. His mom and dad. Does he lie to his wife? Does he lie to all of his close friends and tell them the same story and try to get away with it? You look back on the people who knew him while this was going on.
I got supplies.
Before he was hired to work out in this world, who knew him during the time he was going back, and who stuck by him. This worldwide publicity kind of rained down on his head.
I
really hate to say stuff that I can't put my hands on and say this is absolutely for sure.
What did you say?
I walked down the hallway at one time while I was working out there, and there were doors. The doors that go to the hangars, the smaller doors from the corridors, have a 9-inch or 12-inch square window with little wires running through it, just about head level. And as I was walking by, I just glanced in and I noticed, at a quick glance, there were two guys in white lab coats facing me towards the door, and they were looking down and talking to something small with long arms. Now, I was just surprised as I walked by and I only caught a glance, but I don't know what on earth that was.
People say you saw an alien. Did you see an alien at S4, Bob?
I don't think I saw an alien in S4. We're splitting hairs here. This had to do with this glance through a window that I wasn't supposed to be looking at anyway. And I'm still convinced. I looked in the window, and I think these guys had a doll in a
I got
small
supplies.
chair, which was similar to what was in the craft. And I think they were and they put something in there. And I just took it at a glance. It was just, something tiny sitting on the chair. I don't think there was an alien there posing for them. I think they just had a small character or something. Doing measurements or something. Again, we're talking about, like a 400 millisecond glance. I never saw any aliens walking around there. I never heard anybody saying anything about living aliens, so I don't think that was it.
But they did have a nickname for the aliens.
The kids.
I got supplies.
Maybe visitors interested in us, in our genes, in our souls. Maybe we're property, just a goddamn commodity, like livestock. Maybe they like our condors, cupcakes, kimono, or the top hat, who the fuck knows. Or maybe every single sighting of things in the sky is a product of our collective consciousness. A false hope that humanity desperately needs intervention by external powers. We've always looked to the skies for answers, instead of looking into ourselves.
All right, so at what point describe the evolution of your knowledge here? I mean, you realize that this thing could work when it came out of the flying saucer.
Well, of course, I know that technology doesn't exist at all.
What?
Doesn't. Take my word for it. It's just technology that doesn't exist yet. I mean, you're talking about that science doesn't even know what gravity is, much less how to produce it or control it. And here is a device that's producing it and controlling propulsion.
You're telling me there's a different physics. That was your job. You were working on that.
The science was something we were trying to figure out, but we knew how the devices would operate. For instance, the propulsion of craft. Everything that we have, whether it's a propeller plane or a jet or a rocket, it throws something out the back, either high-speed exhaust or a large volume of air. It's an action-reaction force. The action is you throw something out the back, and it moves you forward. That's how everything works. This is the first time there's a craft it's a reactionless craft. It's a field propulsion craft. And what it does is it creates a distortion in space and time in front of it, where space actually bends.
I got supplies.
And my analogy to that has always been, put a bowling ball in the middle of your bed, and then a foot in front of it, take your fist and push down on the mattress. The bowling ball will roll towards it. And that's exactly how the craft works. It creates a distortion right in front of it, and the craft falls forward.
So there's a different physics that we're not.
Well, the science that explains how the technology works. I mean, it's all encompassed as one thing: alien technology and science.
Marked a
What
location.
is the big picture? What is the take
Yo, bro,
of
have
your
you
story
seen how the
after
rat
you're gone?
looks?
You're not
No,
a
not
rebel
yet.
kid with a jet
I've
car
seen it
at
on
Los
some
Alamos
YouTubers' video,
today.
but not
Today's a
actually.
different Bob Lazar, right?
Right.
What have we learned? What's the message of your story?
The big thing is the suppression of extremely advanced technology and the suppression
Have you seen it?
of unknown science. That's it. Those two things, to me, is the only thing that's important about what was going on out there. Yeah,
Well, I was told it has 26
civilization,
boxes in there.
and like I've said before,
26.
That's a crime not to tell humanity about that, but that's a separate thing.
Meaning that there is something different in science, dramatically, that we're not allowed to know.
Right?
Yeah, dude.
Right?
That
And
is
there's 2 hidden
Yeah,
crates.
that's
I don't know if that's part of the 26, but
the fact that there is another intelligent, technologically advanced civilization. We have some of their objects.
That is really the pinnacle. That there is another civilization in existence that's intelligent that we know about. We actually have artifacts from them that can operate. So I mean, that's a big, big deal. But in my mind, there's a lot to deal with that. However, the science and the technology can change us dramatically. Can change the way the entire world operates, the economy, everything. So those stick out in my mind as critically important.
And we
Marked a
have.
location.
Oh, we have them. You don't have to believe it, but we do.
And you've seen it.
I've seen it.
And you've touched it.
I've dismantled it.
After you're exposed to it, just for a little while, it begins to settle in your mind, and these are normal things. Okay, 115 belongs there on the chart. This flies, and this is how gravity works. Great. Just like someone being from the 1800s being exposed to a car for a few days. He takes it for granted very quickly. The most shocking thing was when I actually got to look inside the disc, the seats in the panel associated with them were very
Enemies
small.
ahead.
They were, perhaps that far off the ground, like something small. Now, if we had made something like that, we would have made it to fit children. It just led me to believe, with the size of the alien cadavers I saw,
Enemies ahead.
the size of the seats and stuff.
Memory. Mistress to desire. Shape-shifting and ethereal. She's inherently elusive and malleable. We acknowledge that it suits our fantasy in the moment. We fear her because she is unpredictable and unpredictable. Can we trust her memories? What if we can? What if we can? What if we can? Can we return to the scene of the crime to extract hidden details and to see more clearly what we thought we saw?
My name is Velma Dinkley. This is my story told my way. And it starts with a murder. Jeez.
Details and to see more clearly what we thought we saw.
I was told the rhythmic shouting and the constant threats, that's a form of hypnosis.
When did this happen?
Oh, this happened almost immediately.
You started yelling and screaming at you?
Yeah.
Fun place to work.
Well, no, like I said, it was a terrible atmosphere to work in. But when you weigh that with what you're going to be around and back to the flying saucers, so
You did hypnosis to try to recall details from your employment and from the physics
right.
of what you learned.
Mhm.
Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct, with Lane. Okay.
Yo, Laney, thank you for the stay safe. Times
Yeah,
6.
I did. I mean, specifics, things you might have missed. I basically
Wait,
wanted
what
to
do you
try
mean?
everything
They're
I
pussies
could
now.
to prove what I was saying. So this is just another tool.
You were familiar that hypnosis can work.
Yeah.
To recall.
Yeah, and I had it done to me before, so I had proven that, yeah, this really does do something. Let's try and remember some fine details, or...
You wanted to recall some physics that you learned then.
Yeah, I wanted to recall as much as I possibly could.
can't
I mean,
behind.
so much went through my mind. Just imagine all the things you were seeing. And every one is completely fascinating and something you haven't seen before. It's just data overload. So I was hoping that hypnosis would get me relaxed enough where maybe everything was packed so tight together, maybe I could just start thumbing through things and just pick up even a couple little more tidbits to paint a bigger picture.
I wonder if Shep got to
And
play
I
this
could,
shit yet.
you know, possibly explain things better, or, you know, possibly locate some of these other guys, or anything, any bit of information. So, yeah, and it was pretty handy.
So you did recall some things
Yeah.
technically.
Yeah, technical things, and probably others, too.
More and more hypnosis is accepted. However, there's still a lot of misconceptions about what. Oh, they think that you go into a trance and the hypnotist does something and you don't remember it, and all of a sudden your life changes. And that's not the case at all. There's no mind control happening.
Take a nice deep breath. Close your eyes and just think relaxation. Now just think about your head and relax your head.
Now what I want you to do is to get as comfortable as you possibly can.
Yeah, I would think that thermal scope would be good.
Now double your relaxation, and the number 100 will be there. 100. Double your relaxation, and the number 99 will come right on in. Bob.
Yeah.
From this moment on, you will recall and remember the material that you seek. And no one or nothing, past, present, or future, will stand in your way. Bob. You will remember because you desire to remember. At one point, he was in hypnosis. I think it was drawing a reactor. He was trying to recall what was in the books. He saw it in the book, and then I told him, well, you'll come up and open your eyes and you'll be able to draw. And he did, but it didn't mean anything to him. But it was a drawing that he drew this way.
Oh, no way.
But it was this way. And so afterwards, he looked at it, and he came back over and sat down here for a while. And, oh, that's because all you had to do is turn it. So that's the superconscious and literal. The subconscious takes things literal.
Right, like it's like the mind is absorbing all this stuff, and then he discovers what his mind had absorbed. He's remembering.
Yeah. I was writing so fast.
I can't imagine what you were thinking too, because you're discovering with them that kind of shock. What's the truth?
Hypnosis is the best possible tool of getting to the truth. If a person makes things up normally, they can lie under hypnosis just as easily as out of hypnosis. But if they're really trying
It's like the best spot to be if you're like trying to get money.
then
That's the first place you gotta go.
He came in to find out what he didn't know. We were able to
Got so many gold bars there.
overcome the fear and bring forth his miracle.
According to Lazar, his employer was the United States Navy. He says he and other government employees would gather near EG&G, fly to Groom Lake, then a very few people would get into a bus with
How many
blacked
are
out
there
or
in
no
the mansion?
windows and drive to S4.
When you get off the bus, what do you see? Very interesting building. It's got a slope of probably about 30 degrees, which are hangar doors. And it has textured paint on it, but it looks like sand.
There's only 2 buses here.
Whether it's to disguise it from satellite photographs or what.
He says he was never told exactly what he'd be working on, but figured it had something to do with advanced propulsion. On his first day, he was told to read a series of briefings and immediately realized how advanced the propulsion was.
The power source is an antimatter reactor. They run gravity amplifiers. There's actually 2 parts to the drive mechanism. It's a bizarre technology. There's no physical hookup between any of the systems in there. They use gravity as a wave guides, almost like microwave.
Polygrapher Terry Tavernetti runs a corporate security operation and is a former Los Angeles police officer. He put Lazar through 4 tests and concluded there was no attempt to deceive.
And I left
Yeah, there's a bandit that comes in here, but it's so easy to kill. It's not really a boss. He drops hella money packs.
And that's when I went to some of my colleagues.
Tavernetti sent the test results to a third polygrapher who agreed the results appeared truthful.
You could win a 2023 Chevy Bolt EV next time you order Domino's for delivery. Because for a limited time, every online delivery order gives you a chance to win a new electric car. We know, it's shocking.
Tavernetti sent the test results to a third polygrapher who agreed the results appeared truthful.
Bob has explained to me multiple times he tried everything in his power to prove his story.
I wanted to feel better for myself. So I said, hey, would you be willing to undergo a polygraph test? He did not hesitate. He said yes. 4 different tests on 4 different areas of Bob's claims. And he said,
The money bags cost more, are a lot more than regular money bags.
I have asked the question many times over the years, how did Bob Lazar know this stuff if he wasn't there? He knew there was a place called S4. I had called Nellis Air Force Base Public Information Office. They confirmed for me there really was a place called S4. No, there's no news story prior to Bob Lazar about any place called S4. He knew about it. He also knew that EG&G had arranged to hire personnel, that if you were going to get a job out of Groom Lake, EG&G was the company that you would go through. He knew that there had been investigators at his home for the background check. Remember, the guy's name was an odd name, Mike Thinkman. Now, how did he know? How did he know that Mike Thinkman works for a federal agency that does this stuff?
After 30 years, and this guy dodging you, I found Mike Thinkman. I found Thinkman.
That's amazing.
I couldn't believe it. He's on the East Coast. I called him. I've talked with him multiple times. You know, he won't go on camera because he doesn't want to kind of put a dark shadow upon the work that he did before. But personally, he conveyed to me that that was his job. That was exactly what he did in Las Vegas in 1989. And in fact, he remembers Bob Lazar.
The most important thing Bob knew is that they were flying something that looks exactly like a flying saucer over Papoose Lake. They flew over on Wednesday night.
It's not worth much, really.
People out there 3 weeks ago and showed it to him. And at least once, maybe twice,
They weigh a lot.
That's real. How did Bob know that? There have been no stories about test flights of flying saucers at Papoose Lake. And by the way, that's where it was. It wasn't over Groom Lake. It was over Papoose Lake. We checked out so many details that Bob had told us that turned out to be true. The existence of S4, element 115, really did become an element years later that Bob had been
They said like at least like 100K. It'll bring you to like 100K or some shit like that. But it holds a lot of weight in your bag, so it's like either get that or get other items.
How much we nitpick it apart, no matter how much people don't want to believe it, the evidence that he's telling the truth outweighs the evidence that he's not.
Mostly it's just to fill up bags, like bag space, like what I'm doing now. That's really all you need to do it for. Get that extra fill.
What was your function working on this? You were doing what? What was your job?
We were to reverse engineer the power and propulsion system of this craft and see if it can be duplicated with available materials.
I just want to go over with you what it is that you saw, to draw it out for people, to make a sketch. As you're seeing it, as if you're there at that moment, kind of go back in the past.
Something I termed the sport model. Underneath this floor,
Ultra ammo.
there are three large cylindrical devices. These are on mounts that allow them to completely swivel up to 180 degrees and in 360-degree rotation. Directly above each one is a small rectangular object. This is on the floor above. And these are the gravity amplifiers themselves. Looking down from the top, you have the center. In the very center,
Yo, Jomani, welcome.
Surrounding this, three
Where's the timer? 5 minutes.
areas are the amplifiers. So this is looking at it sideways, this is looking at it down from the top. And under these amplifiers,
Lambo.
Floor below, are the gravity emitters. So it's the
Drop ammo
reactor here
windows.
powering the gravity amplifiers.
Yeah.
Gravity amplifiers output goes into the gravity emitters at the bottom, and the resulting gravity beam or anti-gravity wave pretty much put anywhere you want to. There's another level up here. Now I had access and was permitted to view and look at the operation of this main level with the gravity amplifiers and the level below the gravity emitters. There is a level above which consisted of these two areas that I'm not all that familiar with. I assume these to be some sort of navigational engine. People call these large black rectangular areas on the top portholes. I believe they were some planar sensor array that just took in information from the surrounding area.
I swear there was a spam. Yeah, I banned them.
Or what have you. And there was their version of a computer or something to make determinations here that takes input from those sensors.
Yeah.
And then
I ain't got time for bullshit today.
orient itself and where it was in space. So that's what I assume to be up there. I don't know for a fact. Again, that was not part of my job, and I was only led to believe that. The center antenna is really an extension of the reactor in the center, and that's a waveguide, which allows the emission of the gravity wave, which forms kind of a heart shape over the whole it's distortion. These gravity emitters can be swung all the way up to 180 degrees, and this allows the craft to essentially stand on two of them and hover, while this one swings up and creates a distortion in front of it, allowing the craft to slide forward. So that's how their low power mode, Omicron configuration, the Delta configuration uses all three. And unlike science fiction movies where you see flying saucers just flying along like that, they actually fly belly first. The craft flies along, leaves the atmosphere of the planet, it turns its belly to the destination, the three amplifiers focus in on the destination, and that's how it proceeds. So that's basically the operation of it and overall how things were laid out inside the craft.
This is an alien spacecraft.
Right. Obviously.
the styles you love and the prices to match. Shop the Lowe's Bath Style and Save event now, in-store and online.
Yo. Yeah. Every single time we walk up to a damn bot, drops it down like crazy.
The guy that promised not to say anything. I won't say anything about the UFOs.
The article is titled
UFO guy in spotlight. Thanks, dude.
Isn't that when, after this came in there, then the fire department, police, the zoning commission, everybody descended on our house?
I wanted to know. Here's lab supplier and controversy.
Oh, yeah.
So originally, the thing was supposed to be about what? What did the guy say the article
The
was?
hydrogen car, I think.
Well, the raid. It was about the raid. Yeah, that's why lab supplier and controversy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. The raid in New Mexico. And the guy called, he said, hey, I heard about the raid and all that. Can I come and, do that? And then he says, are you Bob Lazar, the guy, Area 51 guy? I said, yeah, but I don't want to get into that. This is something more important. He said, oh, yeah, we don't even mention it. No problem.
Literally, your house was taken over by a SWAT team?
Yeah.
Yes. Don't just send a letter in the mail or call us.
Right.
That's the whole SWAT team. Like yourselves,
Hidden things are the most seductive. Secrets reach deep into our desire. They titillate and torment us, like a ticking clock or a distant alarm with no origin. They agitate us and force us to
I don't know what the fuck happened to the collab with Bugatti.
There is a missing element to your faith, but that's the nature of faith. That there is something out there that offers promise of salvation.
Your call has been forwarded to an automated voice messaging system. At the tone, please record your message.
Hey, Jeremy, it's Bob Lazar. Listen, I have something to ask you, something that's really come up that's important. If you would text me and let me know when is a good time to call you. I don't want you to call me. I just need to run something by you. Okay? Thanks. Bye.
Alright, so the only record of this is going to be on the audio on this one file, and then this video clip. I'm not going to cut it, I'm going to let it run. Understood. Okay. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to encrypt it, and I'm going to put
fuck's
both of
open
those
my
two
screen?
files into an encrypted thing to not be touched unless we decide it should be touched.
That's fine.
Okay. It'll be on 2 drives, but those 2 files will both be in an encrypted folder. So here's the deal. Did you ever get a piece out of 115 out of Los Alamos?
I don't know how much monitoring they do with me. I'm sure it's virtually none after all this time.
Hold on
the
one
same
second.
thing.
Hold on 1 second. Let me. Do you have your phone on you?
Yes.
Let's at this point take our phones. Let me put them in the ground over there. I'll turn that off.
I mean, maybe this has been kept from us for a good reason. A lot of people agreed to keep this secret. So, first of all, who am I to upset it? And second of all, who am I to outthink these guys? Maybe they went over all these scenarios already and they know how fucked up everything will be. So there's no guarantee that this revelation is going to make everything great. There's just as much chance it's going to make everything terrible, and I'll be to blame for that. They identified themselves as FBI, and they said, you're Bob Lazar, right? And then, one of them got on the radio saying, yeah, he's here.
Did that shit ever happen to you guys?
Apparently they also had my house staked out. And they were deciding whether or not to go there. The conveyor belt of vehicles and agents and police did not stop. The whole thing was like a Twilight Zone episode. They came in and then they said, there'll be a few other people coming here. Just got a couple questions to ask you. In a short time, the street filled up with vehicles and the building completely filled with agents. It was really something else.
Did they identify themselves initially as...
Yeah, FBI identified themselves, then came in state police and a few other agencies. I don't remember who, but there were a lot. Awful lot. Standing room only in the building. It was crazy.
Yeah, they had like a forensic truck. They had a bunch of different agents. They gridded off the building. I mean, obviously they're looking for something.
Yeah. And what they said, they were looking for some paperwork, an old order from 2 years ago about a customer that, ordered some potentially toxic material, which they could have called for, but this was certainly way over the top. I looked up to select the right key, and they were right beside me. I was quite surprised, considering you could see all around here, and there would generally have to be a vehicle or something. But I just pulled up, got out, picked the key, and then they started talking from behind me. I thought that was really strange. Of course, it got much stranger as the day went on.
What got stranger about it?
Well, just the sheer amount of people that came. Agency after agency. I mean, they had computer experts here going through, all the computer equipment we had here. They had people sectioning off the building, labeling it in cubic meters so they can search each one. What they were looking for was just an order form. So, very strange.
Domino's, you can get more than just pizza for $6.99 each. You can get specialty chicken, savory pastas, oven-baked Parmesan bread bites, molten lava crunch cakes, and yes, medium 2-topping pizzas as well. We didn't stop at pizza, and you don't have to either.
You've been
Form up.
rated 2 times.
Twice.
Form up.
By more agencies than I can really recall. The FDA, to the NRC, the FBI, but they usually come in mass, and it's hard to pick out who's who.
So this is beryllium?
Facts.
And what is it used for again?
It's used in aerospace. It's very lightweight, quite strong, high temperature metal.
Do you think that you were shaken down to some degree of being fucked with?
I don't think they're just fucking with me.
Someone has been here.
I'm convinced there's ulterior motives. I firmly suspect that there's a lot more to it than they're saying. That they're looking for
Form up.
something else.
What they're supposed to do is tie you up, put you in the middle of the room, have everyone watching you so that you can, collaborate a story or, try to trick them or whatnot. So they just kept us all in separate rooms. There's bomb squad, computer squad. I think they have like a biological hazard squad, hazmat squad. Everything made the whole gamut because they had no idea what we had in our shop or like what we're capable of or are we going to retaliate or anything like that. So it was pretty much like the full Michigan FBI. I mean, they had the van, they had multiple cars lined up, so.
I mean, in looking at Bob's life, there's always this suspicion that there's something more going on shaking him down because he had that experience before.
Yeah, so this is the second. Like this kind of knowledge that there's somebody watching. It does have to be related to the area. That it's like. they know who this guy is, and they'll have, they'll look for any reason that they can to kind of, poke with some thorns and make sure that he knows, who's watching him. I believe that. It's too coincidental for it all to be just, just some luck of the draw, basically. Like, there's something going on.
Everybody knows the story is that you got some element 115 out of Los Alamos. That's public knowledge. Something you said a while back. Do you think that what happened had to do with that?
Where'd I go in there?
Are they trying to shake you down to find the 115 that you said 30 years ago that you got out of the lab? People are going to ask that. So let's just address that. If you feel comfortable addressing it, do you not feel comfortable?
I got supplies.
After 30 years, who cares what I have to say?
Thank you.
Can hit randoms.
Thank you.
I'm more convinced than ever that the key to the story is element 115. If you could get to that piece and have it independently analyzed, I think it would prove beyond all question that it came from somewhere else. We didn't make it. And it would go a long way to establishing the story that was told by Bob Lazar as true. So I think about that.
Form up on me.
I think about the cloud chamber experiment. I get a lot of emails from people who say, oh, God, where's this video? You owe it to the world to show this video. And I tell them, look, I've looked for it. I've got all these boxes of crap and stuff and tape and news clippings, and I've looked for it, and I can't find it. But when somebody like you comes and talks to me about the Bob Lazar story, it gets the juices flowing again. I can't help it. I'm human, and right now, I want to go find that tape.
I went through every tape that Bob had in his personal home archive, and one of those tapes on the outside, in tiny, tiny little scribble, said cloud chamber. And lo and behold, there's about just less than a minute of that cloud chamber test on tape. I have it.
People have been so pissed at me over the years I can't find that tape, or they think I'm hiding it on purpose, but I've looked everywhere for it, and if you found it, that's awesome.
I did. Now here's the deal. In typical, Bob Lazar fashion, there's only about a minute of it. However, after all these years, 30 years, we have some footage
I'm really sorry.
But it doesn't prove shit because it's recorded.
I was there the night that they did the cloud chamber test. I couldn't tell you what it was. I didn't know what a cloud chamber was. This beam of light was bent. And it was bent because they had element 115 in.
Man, I'm gonna get him killed. Hold on, I don't care if I die.
That would be huge to include in the story.
I spent time trying to understand why everybody was saying this 115 being stabilized is pseudoscience. So I called some of the top heavy element physicists on the planet, from Russia to up in San Francisco to Washington, D.C., and I spoke with, about 8 or 9, but 3 in particular who would really talk to me in depth about it. All of them, across the board, said you cannot rule out a stabilized version of element 115. In fact, that we believe, it is theorized, that it, in the island of stability, that it would and could and probably does exist. So their way of saying it is, we can't rule it out. So all these people saying, that is pseudoscience.
Excellent. Watch out.
115.
Watch
I
out.
wanted to find out, is it pseudoscience? And definitively, we cannot rule it out.
Oh, shit.
This research.
I only thought there was fucking one.
So of course you can't rule it out. Again, if you want to disbelieve Bob, if you want to cross him off the list and say he's a fraud, then your research goes 1 inch deep, and you say element 115 as he described it can't exist, and then move on. If you want to be honest about it and dig further into it and understand it, then you're going to find out that, in fact, what Bob says does make sense. It can be true.
No, I didn't have any green.
provided the power for the reactor to work.
What happens with gravity and 115?
Element 115 affects gravity. Element 115 produces its own gravitational energy. It had a very specific manufacturing technique. I don't really know how that
Had green items, but not green.
came to be. Its code name was LA 1000. That's what it was referred to off-site. Its purpose was supposed to be, again, this is just code and deception, was supposed to be an advanced armor. So, it's an unusual material, so now we can take it to a national lab. This is LA 1000 classified material. It's a very advanced armor that takes care of all weird questions. So, you immediately start operating on lines. This fuel is in form of just a three-dimensional thin triangle, little rounded edges. It's somewhat copper in color, that reddish brownish. The way this is manufactured is really critical. It's not just cut out of a heavy sheet of material. A cylinder of this material is taken. This is machined into a cone. So this is, the outer part is shaved off using a lathe or something like that until you have a three-dimensional cone. Once you have the cone, it's sliced like this. And these slices become that. Now even this starting piece, a solid cylinder, is not even a solid cylinder. It consists of many discs stacked up. And these are fused together to produce that. And all of these steps are necessary to produce a successful triangle that brings fuel. So actually, if you were to look at how this came to be, this would actually be pieces of all these discs that were cut at unusual angles. Now apparently if you don't do all this, that doesn't work. So unfortunately that's the extent of my knowledge on this. This makes no sense anywhere, but that's what it takes for it to operate. Now with the alien technology that was present in the craft, it takes that basis, that extra gravitational energy, in a small reactor, amplifies it through the equipment there, directs it through the waveguides and archways into the emitters, and allows it to propel the craft and manipulate the gravity wave for whatever use they want. How can this be true? I don't believe a word of this. Do you expect people to believe it? No, I'm not going to change anyone's mind. That's not my intention. I'm just relaying the experience, the job that I went through. It is a fantastic story. But it's true. It's true. These craft came from another, not just another planet, another solar system entirely, extremely far away, and they're here. I've been making fireworks since I was 12, and professional fireworks for at least 20 years. Fireworks are just fun, they're artistic. It's like painting the sky. Controlling a large amount of energy has always been impressive.
Since the New York Times story broke, since Noel Elizondo came forward, since those videos went public, the world is now talking about UFOs in a more serious vein. I think that's a good thing, and I think it reflects positively on Bob Lazar's story, and I hope that the world will take another look at it.
Thus, the jet bike, the jet car.
Yeah, to take, a large amount of energy, which would normally be thought to be out of control, to take that and harness it and have it do what you want. It's always been a present.
The easy way out is to say he's a liar, he's making it up. It's hard to go ahead and accept the possibility that he's telling the truth if I did not believe it. If I thought for a moment that he was lying about it, I'd be done with it. I wouldn't still be supporting it 30 years later.
Your life has been under a microscope. Every word you said for 30 years recorded has been under a microscope, and that's affected you.
Yeah, of course it is. It could affect anybody.
How has it affected you?
In the way I talk and how much I do. I'd rather not, in a public forum, I'd rather just not say anything.
Why do you think people are so obsessed with every word that you say about your experiences?
They're just looking for a way to look for an inaccuracy and to be able to discount the whole thing. Oh, he said this one time and said it's slightly different this time. Obviously he's making it up. No, that's just the first word that enters my mind. I don't put that much thought into it. What I'm saying.
Where's this place?
As much as a lot of people hate it, this stuff really happened. I mean, if it bothers you, that's too bad.
I think that's just hard for people to accept. I mean, so...
Yeah, it would be... Look, I fully understand. I would feel the same way. I'm not sure I would believe my story. Boy, there's not enough evidence, but I couldn't discount it either.
The fact is, the people that know him best believe him the most. I hope that one thing that comes across in your film is the real Bob. Once you get to know him, it becomes much more plausible as a story. He's not lying to his mom and his wife and all his friends. He's not lying in the UFO world either.
You saw alien ships.
Yeah.
You worked on a gravity wave amplification system trying to figure it out.
Right, a propulsion system and a power source that's completely unknown to mankind.
And there's no way human beings could have made it.
There is no way human beings could have made it, under any circumstances, in any country, anywhere.
And for 30 years, you were telling us the truth.
Let's go!
This shit happened. You got it.
The fact that raid that happened in Michigan, that's a very dramatic and very important. They weren't there looking for records about some customer he had a couple of years ago. They were looking for 115. When you bring 24 agents and investigators and crime lab and analysis, and you can bring people to duplicate the whole computers and all that stuff, they're looking for something else. Sure as hell are not looking for a minor receipt. People may not believe it. Believe it or not, but Bob's telling the truth. And that changes everything for you.
So many people, so little time.
You actually think you have what it takes to beat me now, don't you?
To crack a light bulb in it, it seems. To dissect and examine its content is unnerving. Like the reading of omens by viewing the end. We all tell our own stories. Sometimes we even believe them. And sometimes we tell them one last time. If you don't believe it, it's your problem, it's your problem. What you do with that is up to you.
Well, I am telling the truth. I've tried to prove that what's going on up there could be the most important event in history. You're talking about contact, physical contact and proof from another system, another planet, another intelligence. That's got to be the biggest event in history, period.
And it's real.
And it's real and it's there. And I had an extremely small part in it, but I'm convinced that what I saw is absolute proof of that. There is no way we could have created those systems. There's no way we could have made the disk, the power supplies, anything to go with them. Well,
Lazar says he has no intention of going on any UFO lecture circuit. He's not looking to do any additional interviews. In fact, he wasn't too crazy about doing this one. He did it after certain unfavorable things started happening in his life, and he did it because he feels that whoever is running the show up at S4 is perpetrating a fraud on the American people and on the scientific community. We intend to have much more about this story, about the operation up there, on Monday and beyond. This is by no means the end of this series of reports. In fact, on Monday, including in our story there, support testimony from other people who say they have knowledge of the flying discs at the test site, and information from people who know Lazar very well and insist his story is true.
If indeed they have these flying saucers, George, it seems like it'd be really hard to keep this a secret.
Well, yeah, it would seem that way, except for as Lazar asked his superiors up there, they say it's the easiest secret in the world to keep. It's leaked out many times before and nobody believes it.
What's the Navy saying about all of this?
Well, of course, the Navy is supposed to have been his employer, and we have put some fairly pointed questions to them. Of course, number one, it may not be the Navy at all. Information is so compartmentalized up there, no one is exactly sure who is in charge. We have put the questions to several Navy departments. The answers thus far have been unsatisfactory. We've applied for more information through the Freedom of Information Act, and that information will be revealed on Monday as well.
You believe his story, don't you?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I've got to know him pretty well over the last couple of months, and I believe he's telling the truth.
Fascinating stuff.
Thanks, George.
Honestly, I don't know why. She has a laggy as fuck.
So the first part is going to go B minor, F sharp, A, E, G, D, E minor, F sharp. Chorus G.
I need a weapon.
D.
I need a weapon.
Sharp.
I need a weapon.
B minor. Start all over. G.
I need a backpack.
D. But then you go to E minor. Then to F sharp. That's your whole song. So stay positive and keep practicing.
I often wonder about the nature of reality, about our relationship to the creative force that forged the particles of our Who are we? Where are we actually? The answer is simply stranger than we can think. It's Jeremy Corbell. I see curiosity, and if you're ready to suspend your own prejudice, welcome to the world of extraordinary beliefs.
Oh my god. How are that potato so hard?
They're looking for things that might possibly be.
This is a potential threat. What is DoD doing about it?
The so-called Tic Tac UFO was detected over several days in 2004 by personnel with the USS Nimitz battle group off the coast of San Diego. It didn't attack, but it demonstrated vast superiority over America's most advanced defense systems.
These observations match with previous observations going well before that. You have something coming into our airspace. When it continues to happen as a pattern, we now become increasingly concerned. Because it's not an anomaly, now it's a trend.
This video was recorded off the coast of Florida in 2015.
That is in our airspace. It shouldn't be here. You, DoD, you, CIA, you, DHS, have the responsibility for protecting us. How did this happen? And yet it's crickets. Nobody wants to have the conversation. My job with the government at the time was twofold: to determine what it was and how it worked. I figured if we can answer those two first things, everything else will be able to explain.
The technology of these craft is beyond anything known on Earth.
Hey, what's going on? I woke up with 104.6 degrees fever around 9 a.m. today. God damn. Woke up at 5 to canvas security knocking on my door. Then 20 minutes later, EMS were
This is the
Hmm.
here.
story of a place. It's been shrouded in secrecy for more than 20 years.
Tire bond is sore as
There were
fuck.
whispers.
Dude, you got COVID, bro.
You've never seen or heard the real events. I guarantee you that was the plan all along. That's exactly what we wanted. Imagine a place between shadow and substance. A place where the world is thin. At most, a location that evokes the darkest and most hidden corners of terror. Something prowls here. Something lurks. And if you hunt it, it's gonna hunt you back. It's elusive, manipulative, and violent. It's haunting more than haunted. We don't really understand it. Even after the largest scale scientific study in history of a paranormal hotspot, there are more questions than answers. However, we do.
Yeah, he was sick yesterday.
And that's what the story is about. This is a hunt. A hunt for answers to unformed questions. A hunt for the unknown. And the answers have been hiding at a ranch at the center of it all. I was like you. Until I wasn't.
When you try to study something like the Skinwalker Ranch, you got to cast a really wide net, because ultimately this mystery, we don't know what the hell it is.
You know there's more to a story, and you're not allowed to talk about it. That's a human burden.
Yeah, I mean, it was frustrating in the beginning because Colum and Bob Bigelow would tell me these stories about what was going on the property, and I couldn't tell anyone. I couldn't
Hey,
write about
Hannah.
it, and it drove me crazy, and I kept pestering them, and eventually they thought, what the heck, we'll give it a try. Maybe we'll find out if there are other places like it. The publicity will do us some good. Maybe some other witnesses will come forward. So they allowed me to write those newspaper articles, and we got a heck of a lot of attention.
There's a lot to uncover in all of this, huh?
stuff I haven't seen in a long time.
It's overwhelming.
This is stuff, material that's specific to the ranch. I've saved every scrap of paper ever since Dr. Colin Kelleher and Bob Bigelow sort of brought me into the loop about what was going on there. I'd been hearing about it for a couple of years, but wasn't allowed to say anything. And then eventually I talked Bob and Bigelow to give me the permission to go to the ranch. And Colin Kelleher gave me a tour a couple of times. And people forget, they're familiar with the book, but they forget that my interest in it started as a documentary.
One of your first book reviews?
Yeah. Like a mustachioed and debonair fox mulder, George Knapp wants to believe. So do I, actually. We got that reaction a lot. You guys didn't convince me. Convince you of what? We weren't trying to convince anyone. We're trying to tell the story and asking people, hey, help us figure this out. Because we don't know what the explanation is.
Is there more to tell now?
There's a lot more to tell. There's so many things that have happened on the property since the book came out that have not been made public. There's all kinds of people, hundreds of people have visited the property, and it's like a Rorschach test. They go there thinking they're going to see skinwalkers or Bigfoot, and sure enough they do. So you take those accounts with a grain of salt. Other times people have had some pretty dramatic encounters that they keep to themselves, and some accounts have happened to people who are very credible, who had very dramatic encounters, and their stories have not been told.
I got supplies
That I cannot explain right now, but those are the spookiest of all, because the consequences go beyond the property.
You could explain. You won't explain.
I can't. I can't. It's a much bigger place and a much bigger understanding of what it is. It's not simply a haunted ranch. It's not activity that's hazed, confined to this particular piece of property. It moves. It travels.
And there were actual events.
Yeah. I mean, I don't remember if we talked about it in the book, but the family, the Gorman family, had experiences that followed them. After they left the property, it followed them for a while.
Did you know that the Salinas River is flooded as fuck?
There have been other people on the property. They've seen stuff on the property. They've had encounters where they were basically told, stop, you're not welcome here. And then it followed. That's all I can say about it.
HIMS helps guys take care. Whether you're looking for support for your mental health, performance in the bedroom, or hair loss, HIMS can help. At 4hims.com, you can get access to trusted treatments for ED, hair loss, and anxiety from licensed medical providers with a 100% online process and free discreet shipping if prescribed. It's no wonder guys love HIMS. Get started today at 4hims.com.
It's good. There's not flood going on yet, but it stopped raining though. Has it rained all day today?
It's hard to find anybody in the Uinta Basin who doesn't have some kind of an experience with a UFO or Bigfoot or some other strange phenomena, or somebody in their family. So we recorded a lot of that stuff on multiple trips. That footage was recorded on different kinds of formats. We collected information and tapes from some of the witnesses who had made their own recordings, and all of that material was saved with the idea of producing a documentary or a series of documentaries, and then we were asked to not proceed. So I basically canned it, put it all in a box, and then most of the footage has never seen the light of day.
It's about
I don't think it will.
These are interviews. We had tours of the property several times. Robert Bigelow comments on the mutilations. Interviews with neighbors who had lost cattle. Trying to get Mr. Bigelow to go on camera and talk about it was difficult. At the time, I finally got him to open up about it. It was the first interview he'd ever done on the subject. Even though I had known him for 20 years, it was really tough to get him to sit down and talk about it.
So most of
I got supplies.
this video footage in this box, the world has never seen.
Yeah, this is 30 or 40 hours of material that the public has never seen.
got supplies.
Look at the evidence. My curiosity became so overwhelming that I could no longer be a passive observer, but I had to become an active participant. The original story.
And there's a lot of boxes in this little spot over here.
It's weaved into a tapestry of new, ongoing phenomena and events. This is a moment in time that can't be replicated. This will never happen again. Access to the ranch during the investigations, that will never happen again. The time is right, and the time is definitely now. Notoriety of Skinwalker Ranch exploded in 2005 with the publication of the book Hunt for the Skinwalker, which was written by George Knapp and Colin Keller. That book exploded this area onto the map. George's documentation was exclusive. It was happening while investigators were on the ranch. I mean, look, there are no images from Skinwalker Ranch. There's no video. There's no footage during these investigations. The only footage of this is in these archive boxes of George Knapp. It was like Raiders of the Lost Ark. Footage. It's everything that George Knapp has accumulated over 20-something years as the only journalist ever allowed to be on the ranch and to document and film. So it's this incredible opportunity. It was embargoed. It was shut off. So to be able to pull tapes from that archive of those boxes, it's really rare footage. It's incredible. We're at the point. Skinwalker Ranch. This is like the Area 51 of the paranormal. If any of this is true, this is a game changer for public now.
Hey, welcome back, Hannah.
And they all seem to be congregated on a 450-acre ranch. A lot of people, we understand, have seen these things over the years in this area. Hundreds of them. I had some girlfriends that kind of ran around there back in the 70s. They told me experiences that they have out by hot pot lights that forms above them.
At the ranch, it was not a single phenomenon. It was not go out and watch a UFO, go out and watch the lights, the marble lights. There were a host of things that happened. When and where were quite unpredictable, except for the happened within a relatively small geographic area. The UFO manifestation activity here ranges all over this country. It's basically very, I don't know what the square mile is. It's huge in Utah, and at the Uinta Mountains to the north of it, the type of paranormal activity is demonstrated in many case histories up there as well.
For as long as humans have lived in this part of northeastern Utah, they reported strange things in the sky, in and around their homes, and sometimes inside their heads. A Byzantine smattering of unusual phenomena, a paranormal stew. It's as if some other reality occasionally bleeds into our world, giving us glimpses of the universe next door.
These are pan-fried pizza gyozas, in my opinion, perfect for use next to your neighbors. Crunchy bottom with a soft meat inside, such a great combo. Get some gyoza wrappers, put some pizza in the middle, wet all the edges with water, clap it together, start cooking it one side, just like that. If you guys wanted my pizza recipe, I'll have one of my pages. Just go ahead and smoke it. I did fill some things up with cheese, but if you want to, you don't have to. Hot pan, olive oil. Gyozas go in, a couple tablespoons of water, and cover it. Once nice and brown at the bottom, they are done. Grab a plate and serve them. Several people in the question have believe that there are UFOs that believe that the basically is a haunt. And it was like 4 out of 5. And then the majority of them said, okay, it's undecided. I don't know what individual that said, no, I do not believe it. It exists.
another in 1995, directly over Skinwalker Ranch. Preston interviewed his own wife in 1998 and wrote this report for a private research group. The object his wife reported was shaped like a hexagon, aluminum colored with multiple lights.
What she described was 4 lights, like connected to a bar. There were 4 large lights that appeared on the bridge, and I was some distance away from it. She said, "Oh, light."
It's probably the most studied real estate in the history of UFO technology. There has never been, to our knowledge, a place that has had the same kind of focus in terms of study.
I got supplies. Form up on me.
It isn't the middle of nowhere. It's far removed from big cities.
Defend the
That's
mark.
how the locals like it. The landscape is stark and beautiful. The dirt and rocks, rich in hydrocarbons. It's been that way for a long time. Winter Basin objects became so commonplace in the 60s and 70s that locals became used to seeing them outside and back. Utah State University scientist Dr. Frank Salisbury wrote a highly regarded book, The Utah UFO Display. After weeding out the 90% of sightings which were likely misidentifications of known objects, he focused on 400 or so well-documented
Attack the mark.
cases involving unknown structured craft of many shapes and sizes. Salisbury obtained most of the case files from lifelong resident Joseph Jr. Hicks, a local science teacher who had educated generations of Uinta residents. Hicks spent years driving the back roads. Eyewitnesses, many of them his former students.
And I says, "Can you see that? Look at that. That's amazing." Round, gray, alley.
In January 1999,
Watch out!
in the opposite direction toward the town of Verne. Todd noticed an object that looked like this, rounded gray
Let's go.
and metallic, no wings or tail, traveling at a high rate of speed toward the ground.
And I said, "This is amazing."
Let's go. Watch out. Defend the mark. Watch out. Let's go.
Think about it, you know. And I said, "Yeah,
Attack the mark. Thank you.
Few places in the world have had so many sightings over such a long period of time, not just decades, but centuries. The earliest report is from the journal of Father Escalante, a Spanish missionary who in 1776 led the first European party across the basin. But Uinta is much more than a UFO hotspot. The objects seen in the skies are benign distractions compared to the bizarre events on the ground. In particular, on this strip of green pasture that's said to be in the path of the Skinwalker.
They believe that their, when you talk about this Skinwalker, is extraterrestrial. This is something that culture they have. Wherever
story is bigger than just a ranch. This story is an ever-pervasive ring, churning, reaching, seemingly paranormal foods throughout the surrounding area. It creeps to the
Marked a
edge.
location. Head towards the
There's
mark.
an unofficial UFO capital in Utah.
Form up on me.
Northeastern corner.
Head towards the mark.
Quietly and secretly, there's what currently throw a rock in any direction in a
Someone has been here.
You're likely to hit someone who's seen an anomalous aerial object. Jason is a UFO hotbed. Locals are reluctant to talk about it with outsiders. The number of sightings easily ranges in thousands. The unofficial consensus is that more than half of the people who live in the basin have seen them. Over the mountains, above the towns, on roadways and oil fields, anomalous lights, maneuvering orbs, and metallic craft. Objects, things which are not easily explained. Why so many? And why here? Roosevelt, Ballard, Fort Duchesne, Uinta County. For some, the phenomenon provides a mecca for curiosity. But for those that experience it, it's corrosive.
Form up on me.
Like an acid. It's been here a long time. Stories of UFOs, poltergeist-like occurrences, and creatures of all kinds have haunted the landscape and residents throughout generations. Normal people, hardworking people, they're having extraordinary encounters.
I got your back. Watch out.
It's just part of life out here.
Okay.
Purchased the property as a living laboratory. It's been a phenomenal laboratory. I feel comfortable. We think
The dogs would be able to sense
Watch out.
something was near.
Watch out. Watch out.
They were uncanny active.
close to 100 different things. Like how this animations with lights in the sky, animals
Watch
being
out.
moved to different locations. No two incidents themselves. Training is meaningless when nothing is repeated. And that has happened consistently as the a lot more than most consciousness. This topic is something that's completely outside of our normal physics.
Watch out.
This is something that's beyond our normal means of encountering. It became obvious that we were along for the ride, but the ones in control.
Did you have
Watch
an
out.
experience on the ranch?
My first visit there, it had been a down period. Alan Kelleher had told me, look, the activity has sort of gone underground. That's why I was allowed to go, because maybe the weirdness quotient, I could stir something up, or I could at least tell the world a little bit about the story so that we could find out if there are other places like that. So I went to the property, and there's
Help!
that would happen that was activity historically. They said, our arrival of a stranger. that
Defend
was
the mark.
if you make a bunch of noise,
Help!
in particular, digging up.
Help! Watch out.
So we did
Help!
all that. You know, I made a bunch of noise. We built a fire
Marked a
out there.
location.
We
Marked a
danced around,
location. Help!
And then we got an earth mover and dug a bunch of holes. So if there was something to be disturbed, we did our best to disturb it. And then they took me and put me on a chair.
I need consumables.
In the middle
Oh shit.
where some really bad stuff had happened, and they left me. Pitch black, middle of the night, middle of nowhere, in a place.
Thank you.
There were several cabins, all light.
Okay, but you
Oh, she studied
exactly.
it.
But you did the same thing. You looked at a statistic, and he did the same thing. You don't have a criminology degree, and neither does he.
Hold on a second. You're doing an argument from authority, okay?
It's a fallacy.
So the laws of physics don't change whether or not you're a physicist, okay? The law of thermodynamics doesn't change whether or not you take a course on it. Answer the question. Why blacks have a broken family versus a nuclear family?
What'd you say?
Higher rates of crime. You admit that. Good question. We subsidize single motherhood in this country. Do the federal government of the United
Head towards the mark.
To indigenous locals, this stretch of
Marked
red
a location.
sandstone is special
Head
because it
towards
is,
the
quote,
mark.
the path of the skinwalker, according to members of the Ute tribe.
Okay.
The first time we heard that phrase, the reaction was, what's a skinwalker?
Marked a
It's touchy
location.
subject for many tribes, including the Utes, whose sprawling nation covers 1.3 million acres in this country. The Utes were ordered to move here around the end of the Civil War. The U.S. Army built and staffed a fort to keep an eye on them. Today, the Utes coexist with their neighbors while retaining their own government, police force, businesses, and culture. This is something that's Preston worked as a tribal police officer for several years, but says few of his Ute friends are willing to talk about skinwalkers.
Well, you can compare it to the interior purples most of them were very reluctant to talk about.
In tribal lore, a skinwalker is an evil presence, a sorcerer and shapeshifter who steals lives and souls. Even mentioning the word is considered risky. This ridge, said to be in the path of the skinwalker, is a borderline of sorts. It overlooks an island of
Kronos doesn't stream to Omlet anymore. I don't think he streams at all anymore. I heard he was doing some sus shit. That's why he stopped streaming, but I don't know exactly what
Form up
happened.
on me.
It does seem to have been a change between the
Let's
70s
go.
and 90s. Certainly on the effects of the phenomenon. Where in the 70s, you didn't get the scary stuff, even in the Ute Basin. And we're going mostly on the testimony of pigs and probably a couple of dozen other witnesses. Whereas in the 90s, most of the activity that we have was centered around this ranch. And that was all kind of very scary, poltergeist kind of stuff. That seems to have changed in character. Even though the same silver discs have been seen, Mexican hand-type UFOs have been seen in the area, but overlaid on that, you've got these multiple kind of poltergeist psychic type stuff.
Biochemist Dr. Colin Kelleher didn't expect to be sitting in a dark cow pasture talking about skinwalkers and poltergeists when he signed on with NIDS, the National Institute for Discovery Science, founded in the mid-90s by Las Vegas billionaire Robert Bigelow. Bigelow's lifelong interest in UFO research led to NIDS and the ownership of this 480-acre ranch. It's a somewhat twisted tale. The property had been vacant for 7 years when, in 1994, a family bought it. It was their dream to raise high-end Simmental cattle here. There's only one entrance, a gate that displays an eerie sign. A single dirt road leads into the property, which is made up of 3 parcels. The first homestead on the east side is where the ranch house is located, along with the corral. A second middle homestead contains long abandoned buildings. The third homestead is ringed by tall trees and underbrush. A river flows on the south side of the ranch, and on the north, the sandstone ridge. The family of 4 had a startling encounter on their very first weekend there. From out of the brush on the south edge of the property, they saw a huge canine walking toward them.
And they had put a couple of calves in this corral here, and in this one here, and they saw this wolf that was trotting across the field here from this direction, and it stopped occasionally. It was the light rain. It began the day with light rain, and so they were watching this wolf as it was coming towards them, and seemingly kind of unconcerned.
The family assumed the wolf must be someone's pet. Huge, but seemed
get out of so Terry and his dad went over with out sticks and started beating on the wall to try to get it, make sure that it let go of the cop. Several times they beat on the wall without any effect whatsoever. Terry asked his son to go in to get his magnum. The son came out and the wolf was still dragging, trying to drag the calf well. Terry sort of pointed magnum on the animal and shot it. Now, as far as I remember, he shot it either 3 or 4 times, and it was like from increasingly close range. First of all, it was from several feet, and then it was closer and closer. On the 4th shot, the animal let the calf go. But the animal was, the wolf didn't let out any yelps of pain. There was no sign of blood. There was no sign of distress. The animal let the calf go and looked at Terry.
These are pan-fried idiociosos, and in my opinion, it's perfect for Mexican meat. The country bottom with the soft meat inside is such a great combination. Get some gyoza wrappers, put some birria in the middle, wet all the edges with water, clamp it together, start tucking in one side, just like that. If you guys wanted my birria recipe, I'll have one on my page. Just go ahead and scroll. I did fill some of these up with cheese, but if you don't want to, you don't have to. Hot pan, olive oil. Gyozas go in, a couple tablespoons of water, and cover. Once nice and brown at the bottom, they are done. Grab a plate and serve them.
Terry gets the 30-06, which, they bring down an elk, from a relatively long distance. Shot it at a distance of 20 feet. And this time it was a big recoil. When the animal kind of recoiled, but still didn't give out any pain or anything like that. But it kind of backed off for maybe 10 feet. Terry shot it, and it was actually a 6th time with the 30-06. This time we saw a bunch of flesh. The bullet exited from the animal flesh, and this time the animal just kind of turned on its head, trotted off, almost casually, exactly where it came from, in that direction. Now, the piece of flesh lying around, they examined it later.
Father and son, both armed with rifles, went after the wolf, catching glimpses as it moved through thickets, following the deep tracks it left in the wet ground.
Tracked the animal all the way across the creek. They tracked the animal and went after it, and they found that its tracks stopped suddenly in a muddy bank like that. Just seemed to. The tracks went nowhere. Going to a specific area, they should not have vanished. But they came back then and they found the piece of tissue blown off by the things. And to them it looked old, it looked almost like beginnings of decay, flesh. It blew them. This incident blew them away because even a single shot now, you should remember that this wolf was initially very friendly. It actually walked right up to the dad. The dad patted it on his head. So we're not talking about some kind of rash, we're not talking about some kind of hallucination. This was a physical animal. He patted it, smelled like wet dog,